Welcome to Break Fake Rules. If you've ever questioned why we live by certain rules and wondered what becomes possible when we do things differently, well then this series is for you. Welcome to another exciting edition of Break Fake Rules. We are in Whistler, Canada, because that's just the place to be these days, and we're at Forward Global Summit, which has a very special place in my heart, here with the CEO of Forward Global, the wonderful Renee Kaplan. Thank you for coming to the show. And I guess we came to you because this is your show.
Exactly. Thank you.
We're in a
coming.
secret room, deep inside, behind the scenes at Forward Global.
Yes.
But Forward Global is an organization. It is not an event. So what is Forward Global for people to understand?
Yeah, thank you. Forward Global is a global community of individuals who are really looking to make the most meaningful difference that they can in the world. And so we're both a global community. There's 400 individuals around the world. And we're an impact platform.
Right.
And we have found that that is an important part of our role to really amplify the models that are working around the world to really drive collective action. Like, it is not enough for any one person, donor, foundation, impact first organization to be working. Like, we need it all now.
Right.
So,
well, let's unpack some of this.
Yeah.
Before we do, I just there's some people who are listening right now who may remember that before I was the host of Break Fake Rules or at Stupski,
before you were famous,
before I was famous to 10 people, I had some role in this organization. It was then called the Philanthropy Workshop, and it was a very different, I think, for people that are wondering, where did TPW go and what is this Forward Global thing? In the TPW version, it was known for being a small cohort program. It really was a workshop.
Yes.
I say that with that kind of quiet tone because
endearing.
it was a cute place where people went and they learned how to give strategically in kind of a donor-centered way. Yeah. You came in 2018, and look where we are today. It is now this amazing platform for people who are influencers on wealth, who have influence over capital. It's not restricted to just someone who has a foundation or a DAF, which was my era.
Yep.
And as a board member now, coming to the summit, it is just mind-blowing. Like, the energy and the way people are talking and thinking and collaborating. It's happening right here in Whistler. People are collaborating. So let's go through the elements.
Yeah.
How does when someone comes into Forward Global now, what are they signing up for?
Yeah. So the filter for us is, are you ready to deploy? Or are you only into preservation? So if you're a wealth holder,
right,
we really push on that. Like, we are moving. We need more deployment for all the reasons we'll get into, I'm sure, with stuck money, stuck capital, incentives that are really, making it challenging for people to deploy in the ways that we need them to.
Right.
So that's the first thing. It's just, are you really ready to, put resources to work? Some people are coming in, and then the foundation principles, as you mentioned, in the philanthropy workshop days, those principles still really are such value-based approaches. That was the best practice of the time.
Right.
And we still honor those today, which is,
even if I dishonor them in some of my writings. I appreciate you holding on a little bit.
No, it's really true. They're evergreen. Like, get proximate.
Yeah.
Trust the people on the ground who are closest to the issues we're trying to, really help improve. Give operational funding.
Yeah.
Get out of this restrictive, high-intensity, donor-centric, place. Collaborate. Be open. Really look to where you can be leveraging dollars with other people. So that all applies. It's amplified now, given what's happening in the world. So I think the biggest shifts really have been us responding to the environment and seeing those grounding principles, which were radical at the time.
Yeah.
Right? That was definitely disrupting the status quo of top-down foundation type approaches, or I guess traditional approaches. So we're all, I think just taking from that and then trying to really now, move at the speed of trust, really be more innovative, look at what, for me, models. What are the models that are working across the board, not just in philanthropy, but in business, in government, how do we work at the intersections? So it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's
that is
super exciting.
It's exciting to see. I have to say, you've given me more hope, because I have been nervous over the years about how business mindsets show up in the philanthropic environment.
Yeah.
But you've kind of turned that on its head. As I've been at this event, you have showcased, given examples of, not necessarily promoted, but you've been kind of like showing how this mashup can exist between business entrepreneurs and what we used to call social entrepreneurs, but I think they're still staying in a business lane, but they're looking at it through impact, really bringing some real teeth to this, that other than what Anand Giridharadas kind of questioned back in 2018 with Winners Take All. These folks aren't getting caught up in labels. They're not going on Summit Series cruises. They're really trying to put stuff together that will have lasting impact as well, using all the tools available. So give us an example of how you've seen that show up here this round.
I think, again, getting to the context of where we are today and what we're seeing with power and leaders, there is a lack of moral leadership. Right. And not to get all too focused on morals and ethics, but I think people are people. And so they're good leaders working in a variety of places right now that are all concerned about their families. They're concerned about the future. They're concerned about the planet. And many of them don't have a natural community to go to really talk about, contribute, ideate about where we can work together for progress.
Right.
So that's where we see, a ton of interest, actually, which has been interesting. So, to open up and to kind of focus less on control and more on trust, if they're the right leaders and they truly are genuinely, authentically interested in helping and showing up, not necessarily with, their branded business hat on, but with an innovative social progress hat on, then we're all in.
You're saying their branded business hat while you're decked out in Break Fake Rules branding. I just think it's the best. For those of you that can't see this, you'll see it on YouTube or on Instagram. We have decked Renee out.
I love my jacket. I will be happily wearing my jacket.
She's covered in Break Fake Rules branding. But we're the good branding.
This is innovative, disruptive branding. I'm all for that.
So where is the fake rule in there as you see it? What was going on that Forward Global, just in that story you tell of leadership and value-based lifestyle, what's the fake rule that's breaking? Yeah,
it's the precious spaces.
Yeah.
Right? The entitled spaces.
Right.
So I'm lucky. I was in corporate for a long time, in tech. I was an entrepreneur, and then I came over to kind of the social progress and foundation side. And it's interesting to have those experiences where you go into the corporate world and after I was in that world for a long time, after being, joining a foundation, I would be the foundation person or the philanthropy person in the tech room. Right. If you were in a philanthropy environment, like, oh, God forbid, this business person's going to come in and
that's me, I'll admit. I live in that bubble. I'm very nervous when that happens. I will admit it.
And so we get really exclusive. I mean, and I'll give you an even, more common example, which was, donors also excluding nonprofits. Don't pitch me. I'm, in this room.
Right.
And you're like, we got to break down these barriers. Now, I totally understand the need for safe spaces, but we've got to break this down. What are you here for? How do we curate the right connections? So if you have the right connections in the room and you set expectations of what we're going to do in the room, you should be open to and be ready to be excited about being pitched.
Right.
Right? That is not a bad thing. And so the nonprofits, then we put so much strain. They don't know which rooms to be in.
Exactly.
And they're pitching all the time. That's why 70 to 80% of them, or the 70, 80% of their time, if you're a social entrepreneur or nonprofit leader, is spent raising money. So we're not making those spaces very open and very clear.
Well, you've already dropped the word that I think a lot about, and that's control.
Yeah.
And in that is really what it's about. You're trying to challenge control with that behavior. You're saying, don't be afraid.
No.
I really do. I think this is a great practice you are promoting at Forward Global for nonprofits. I do. I'm speaking a lot and of course writing a lot with Control, Why Big Giving Falls Short, and other things we're doing at Stupski, we talk a lot about what funders are up to. And I say in a very meek way to nonprofits, I don't want to come off as putting a burden on them, that they do need to push back at the controlling nature as much as they can. But I really have enjoyed watching how Forward Global does it. It's more organic. It's not, you're not saying to people, come here, make a deal, and we'll write it up on our website. You're really creating an environment where people, funder, business leader, entrepreneur, whatever it might be, that's going for impact, to really come together, have a conversation, and create a platform where they can innovate and fail and keep going.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I love that that's happened here.
Yeah, I think it's a really important. Another, fake rule, I think, is being all about the money. What nonprofits need is really, in my experience, is saying we need to help them with sustainable models.
Yeah.
And that's where people that have been in finance and been in startup communities have really dug into strategy and how you think about a go-to-market and how you think about the business, running a successful business. That's invaluable.
Right.
So we get caught up in check writing and feeling good. And I want plans, not pledges.
Right.
I'm really into less commitments. Okay, fine. That's really still donor centric.
It is. It is. What will I commit to?
Yeah, it's still a more of a reflection on who's making the commitment versus what's the impact we're trying to drive here.
Right.
And the entrepreneurial energy I find of how do we solve this problem? How do we get in and look at this? And let's put the money aside for a minute. And let's get in there together and talk about what are the assets each of us are bringing to the table? What's happening on the ground? And this is where nonprofits we can relieve them of having to feel like they have to be the dog and pony show and present these fancy decks and ask for money versus let's get into the problem. Let's think about you're proximate. You see what's going on.
Right.
And then let people come in and ideate and think about it in a way that helps them okay, this actually expands their view too, because they're usually in a scarcity mindset.
So let's talk a little bit about money, though.
Yeah.
Do you look out when you're standing up on the stage in front of the hundreds of people that are here at the summit? There's some significant capital in the room. Mm-hmm. So a question I have been asking on this season's Break Fake Rules, I've been talking to different nonprofit leaders, and I've been asking them about this idea of absorptive capacity. And what you just said a minute ago made me think that this is not an issue of concern. So what absorptive capacity is the ability to absorb capital. Mm-hmm. So the question I have been asking, because I'm really wanting to challenge some of my peers in the $1 billion philanthropy club, who live there's an endowment there that is not moving by design, right? You're talking in some cases 10 to 12 to 13 billion dollars. And the question I'm putting out into the ether is, can you imagine a world at 13 billion where you could come down to 12 and move $1 billion to one organization, not over 10 years or 30 years, but right now, $1 billion check to an organization to move something in a time that we're in right now that could change the trajectory of history? Do you think, as you look out, that the people in this audience who have that kind of a power are open to that idea in this Forward Global? Can you imagine a day where someone's going to announce or do or build that move?
Yes.
And what would that take? What do you think that will take from Forward Global side to make that happen?
I think, we already have examples. So, one of our members, Dina Blank Kimball, right, and her mother, right? So they decided they had $1 billion, part of the Home Depot kind of legacy and wealth creation, said, okay, we're going to spend that down, as you know so well, or the spend out, and set a timeline, in 10 years, had it out. So it wasn't $1 billion all at once, but it was set the criteria. The most important factor said was we set a date. Mm-hmm. We set the date.
Right.
And the board agreed to it. Everyone agreed to it. And so in a 10-year time frame, right, okay, so maybe not immediately.
Right.
People don't get there.
Right.
But seeing examples and then seeing the joy. They did it with 7 staff. It wasn't a huge operational undertaking.
Right.
They could get the board and their governance and all that. And then they brought in communities. Say it wasn't one organization. So the only thing I'd say is I think it's tough to say one organization at a time. There's programs like Audacious Ideas and some others that are moving big dollars. Great, but I think this idea of could you see 10 billion to a community and a structure that we put in place that helps ensure that that's, going to really good organizations and the community are setting those priorities, I think that's an easier yes.
Well, the reason I'm picking up on this is how you described, a group coming together, sitting down, talking about it, and bringing models and approaches. Because the reason people say nonprofit organizations can't absorb that much capital is because there's a real skepticism about leadership in nonprofits, trust in nonprofits, and an understanding of the models available. So I'm wondering, as I was listening to you, could the leaders that are coming here with a more values-based approach set the stage for a very large multi-billion foundation to come in and go, all right, we're comfortable to move $1 billion to this thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I don't think you get that without a Forward Global making sure people are getting into that practice.
Right. It's a cultural shift. Right. We're shifting mindsets and behavior. You got to get out of this preserve in perpetuity. You got to get out of this skepticism on the nonprofit side. And there's good data that I understand, and we hear from members. There's 1.2 million, nonprofits, 80,000 new ones a year. They're overwhelmed, and they're getting, constantly bombarded with requests. So I get it. We understand that environment, and you put together a really good, compelling deal, and a structure, and you take time on that strategy that shares the risk a bit, right? So if a good structure, and that's where a collective model, to me, that's the future. It's less about one organization's ability to absorb, which is true. There are issues there with scale and overwhelm, right? But if you get a collaborative approach, and so some of these community asset shifts that we're doing are multi-billion dollars. Some of the ways that we can get reciprocal grants going, and I say reciprocal, not recoverable. I think that's a great word. One of my members introduced to me just here, where some of the endowment money could also go there. And that could be big. Those could be big. Those could be big plays. And they know they're going to get it back over time. So if they have some kind of governance in place that is, tying their hands, that could be an option too.
I think these are all steps along a spectrum from that kind of that heavy controlling aspect toward a more community engaged approach. May not get you all the way to the far end, but steps along the way are good. So let's go a little bit back to the beginning of our conversation, which is, how are people coming into this community now? It has shifted. So how would you say how does someone come into this now, and then what can they expect once they're here?
It's a great question. I think for us, it's less about, it's honoring the community. So if we are saying we are a community, what has been beautiful, and I think it's, as most people who are in communities, people know who they want to bring in to work at. So the kind of network of networks approach, we're just seeing less about having to go recruit and try to, again, chase people to come join. It's like if, some people arrive and they're very new, and they come to the summit. This is a place where we open up and we welcome people who are just come see.
And what's the first thing someone has to unlearn when they walk into the summit? What do you think what happens there?
I think the judgment about, right? If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm coming in I don't want, I'm not philanthropy. If I'm a philanthropist, capital P, and I've been doing traditional philanthropy for a long time, whoa, am I going to step into a space with, and be, challenged too much. If I'm, coming in even from a government leader or maybe outside those sectors, it's what am I doing here? Who, right? What's the expectation? I think the heart is being open, being super open about, hey, I want to make a difference. Usually that means also unlearning any kind of past judgments you've had about those different groups. It's no, we're putting the issues, the mission at the center, and we're talking about a lot of things which people quickly can contribute to.
How about, there's a tradition I've been really struggling with this myself. Even though I love everyone I work with at Stupski and I love the issues we work on, we also have rigidity because we have issues that we work on. What our board has given us the space to do is to do this, is to engage the sector in as provocative a conversation as possible about how we practice our work. So we've been able to move outside the lines a little bit, but I wonder for people coming into Forward Global who are used to the more traditional conference, whether it be the funders for such and such silo, or this conference we're going to focus on education as a way for young people to grow. If you come in here with education as your thing, are you encouraged to widen that net a little bit? How does that work?
So the thing we focus on now is going deep with anyone who's really interested before they walk in the door. So that is a huge part. If you're, coming into this community, we need to get to know you. We need to know what you care about.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know if you're really open.
Okay.
Or maybe if you're, not open, we can say, are you willing
Mm-hmm.
to at least, consider and come into the space?
Mm-hmm.
You may not know where so that's a big focus for us now. So going deep with each member in this community of where are they, where are they coming in from? Do we have any biases that we might want to check? And are they really coming in with the spirit and generosity of contribution? And not necessarily, again, not just money, but the contribution of engaging, sharing what they know, what they've learned, and then being open to also having that back. Yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning and you think about this community and then any community beyond it, what's that one fake rule that you really wish everyone would continue to break?
I think that one person doesn't make a difference.
Wow. So, the fake rule is that one person, you're saying it takes more than...
Yeah, I think people come in thinking, what can I do? There's a lot of fear. I have to protect my, whatever you're protecting. And you come in here and it's like, I have a lot to offer. I have my time. Some people, it might be just their time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. I can roll up my sleeves. We have members who are, just jumping in wherever's needed, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. So, you don't have to know a lot about philanthropy. You don't have to know a lot about what's happening in the different regions. So I think if we can drop our expectations for individuals of having to be coming in with knowing it all, especially those who've been really successful.
Yes.
Especially for the ones that are used to having a lot of control in their lives.
Yes.
And say, whoa, I've got to kind of open that up now and let that go and just be ready to, move forward. To me, will flourish. I see examples of that, which makes me, so optimistic about where we're going to go.
I know that about you. And it's been tremendous to see you grow this whole organization. I'm so glad I quit.
Thank you for quitting, Glenn, and making room for me. I totally appreciate it. And for staying engaged and bringing what you see. I think it's super important, and truth-telling. And that would be the other thing is, the break fake rules is don't tell the truth because you're going to get in trouble and you're going to upset people. Like, tell the truth. We need the truth more than ever. And I so appreciate that you're leading the way on that. Like, that is brave, and we need that. We need bravery.
And thank you for having us here. It has just been great. This has been great. And thank you for joining yet another exciting edition of Break Fake Rules. I promise you we're coming back again, maybe with a co-host, with another fake rule breaker. We'll see you then. Thank you for tuning in to Break Fake Rules. Subscribe to the Stupsky Foundation YouTube channel to watch videos of each episode. And join the conversation with me on LinkedIn.